China is claiming that the Volt Typhoon, a notorious cyber espionage group from China, is a fabricated story to mask American hacking efforts by providing, quote, ironclad evidence of U.S. cyber espionage and even accusing companies like Microsoft and CrowdStrike of participating in geopolitical smear campaigns. After a crippling cyber attack, the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine triumphantly returns in read-only mode. Jetpack has patched a critical vulnerability in its WordPress plugin that endangered 27 million sites by allowing logged-in users to access other users' form submissions. And finally, despite a patch being released months ago, security researchers show that over 87,000 Fortinet devices are still vulnerable to critical flaws, including remote code execution. So, cyber tensions are escalating between China and the United States, so much so that China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center has accused the United States of fabricating the threat actor Volt Typhoon in order to deflect attention from its own cyber espionage activities. They claim that the U.S., along with its allies, is conducting widespread cyber attacks, hiding behind false flag operations, and engaging in global internet surveillance. China is arguing that the so-called Chinese cyber threat is a myth, pointing to the United States tactics like supply chain attacks and backdoor implants as evidence. They also criticize the US for creating tools to obscure the origins of cyber weapons, framing other countries like China and Russia in the process. Included in these allegations are claims that companies like Microsoft are complicit by using geopolitically charged names for threat groups. The Chinese organization is also calling for international cooperation to combat cyber threats, urging research institutions to focus on developing better technologies for protection. Which, yes, China, wouldn't it be great if all the countries in the world could collaborate to tackle cyber risk together? So I totally agree with that. We should be working with everyone we can to solve these problems. As far as these allegations go, historically, the United States has done some pretty shady stuff, but it also takes a long time to come out. And especially with the vastness of the cyber realm and the way that the United States actually helped create the internet, laying its own cable and fiber across different oceans, gives them a pretty strong advantage to be able to do what China is accusing them of. Not saying that they have, not saying that they haven't, but I'm definitely not naive enough to think that the United States does not participate in propaganda against China and Russia. So if you weren't aware, there is a nonprofit organization that keeps historical records of everything on the internet, including web pages, videos, blogs, etc., which is a pretty cool idea, but can also be pretty damning, right? To have this level of evidence, on comments before they were changed or tweets before they were taken down, blog posts, etc., makes it a target for attack. Well, just last week, they did suffer a DDoS attack that led to the breach affecting 31 million user records. It also took down their site until this week when it returned in a limited read-only mode. Now, there are certain features that still remain disabled, but the good news is it's back and you can view most of the content that was there before the attacks. The Jetpack plugin for WordPress, which is used on 27 million sites, has received a crucial security update to fix a major vulnerability. This flaw is found in the contact form feature, and it allows logged-in users to potentially access forms submitted by others. Which reminds me of when Truth Social launched and how you could go in and sign up for an account, and when you clicked on your name, it would create a drop-down of everybody else's name that's ever signed up. Which I don't believe this WordPress plugin is that bad, but it's the frameworks in which these forms are made can lead to this type of data leakage pretty easily. So Jetpack identified the issue during an internal audit, noting it had been present since 2016. The fix for this vulnerability has been implemented across 101 versions of the plugin, and there's no evidence of real-world exploitation yet. But if you're a WordPress administrator, as always, make sure you're logging in and checking your plugins for updates. And if you can, enable auto updates so that you don't have to rely on yourself. You close that gap of time where you're vulnerable, it reduces your odds of getting attacked. And finally, there are 87,000 Fortinet devices that are still vulnerable to a CVE that was patched in February of 2024. The flaw allows unauthorized remote code execution on unpatched FortiGate firewalls and has been actively exploited in the wild. The vulnerability affects the FortiOS FGFM daemon and can be triggered by specially crafted requests. And Fortinet has updated its advisory to suggest mitigation strategies, including FGFM access, although they're not foolproof solutions, because I believe they do affect the connectivity from the devices to the device managers, which will require some sort of hacky remediation that is provided by Fortinet. So TLDR, Fortinet 87,000 still vulnerable, actively being exploited in the wild, so go make sure you update as soon as possible.
This has been the Daily Decrypt. If you found your key to unlocking the digital domain, show your support with a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It truly helps us stand at the frontier of cyber news. Don't forget to connect on Instagram or catch our episodes on YouTube. Until next time, keep your data safe and your curiosity alive.